So this endgame is considered to be the toughest to force. But if we divide this endgame into small parts, it becomes quite a bit easier. So the basic idea is to force the king on any one of the force edge. Although it is desirable for us to force the king into a corner of the color of our bishop, but even if it is not the case and the king is forced on undesirable square, we can still force the king to our desirable corner if we just understand some basic principles. The first thing that I would like to stress about is constantly think about the escape squares of the enemy king, and if possible control those squares by either your bishop or knight. And the second thing you need to know is W pattern. I will explain it to you in a little while longer. So this starting position is quite good for us because the king is much closer to the white corner. And our bishop and knight control some critical escape square from the enemy king, so we will just waste a move with our king. So now you can see that the enemy king is already forced on the last rank. So let's get our king closer so the enemy king can't escape. Now you have to think, where does the enemy king headed to? Where does he wants to go in order to escape? In our case, enemy king is threatening to escape from I3 square, so now we should think, is there a way that I can prevent him from going to I3? Yes, there is. Our knight can just jump back and control I3. Fantastic, we have now prevented the enemy king from escaping. Now we need to think of our motive. What is our motive? Our motive is to push the enemy king to white corner, in our case to A8. So we need to control A4, which will push the enemy king further towards the corner. Can we do that? Yes, we can. Bishop to B3 does the trick. Now let's bring our knight closer to the action. And now the second principle that you absolutely need to remember, the W of knight. Whenever the enemy king is on the last rank, the knight needs to move in such a way that its trajectory makes a W. And the starting point of the W will be the one square diagonally opposite to the corner where you are trying to checkmate the king. It will look something like this. So let's follow the W. Now let's just defend our knight and force the opponent king further into the corner. Very nice. The enemy king is slowly reaching to our desired checkmating square. So what should we do now? Well, we want to push the king further into the corner and we don't want the king to escape to I6. So we need to ask ourselves, is there a way to control I6? Yes, there is. Our bishop can cover that square. Fantastic, the miserable king is forced into our desirable corner. Let's move our king closer and take away I7 square from the enemy king too. And now we need to question ourselves again, where does this enemy king want to escape? To C8, of course. So is there a way to stop that? Can we control C8? Yes, we can. Our bishop comes in clutch. Look at this miserable king now, he has only 2 squares left, he is just waiting for the inevitable. So far so good, but how to deliver the final blow? How to checkmate? Well, have some patience, you are very close. Just notice the enemy king is just boxed in these 2 squares by our king and bishop, so basically we can move our knight wherever we want to. Okay, so ask yourself now, what is the best position for our knight? Well, somewhere where it can attack the miserable king and take one of the 2 squares away from the enemy king. A6 is the perfect square for the knight from where it will take the 8 square away from the miserable king. And that king will be left with only 1 square, and that is our desired checkmating square. Can you figure out who is going to take that final A8 square from the miserable king? Yes, very good. Our sniper, our white bishop, is gonna be the final nail in the coffin for this helpless enemy king. Okay, let's try to place our knight to I6 while that poor king stumbles upon the 2 squares. And now we are just 1 square away from placing our knight to our desired square. And I want you to put the most attention to this position. Don't rush, calm yourself, you need to be extremely careful while playing this final knight move. otherwise it may result in stalemate. So I will give you a tip: always play the final knight move with a check. If the final knight move is not a check, then don't play it, be patient and wait for the right moment. In our case, we are lucky that the final knight move is indeed a check, but in case if the king was on a8 while we try to play knight to a6, I would just waste a move with my bishop and wait for the king to go to b8 and then play knight to a6 with check. Okay, it's enough now. Let's end the misery of this poor king. Go knight to a7 with a check, and now the king is forced to his execution place. If you ever reach this position, I genuinely want you to just wait and be proud of yourself. Very few people have the patience and skill to learn this checkmate. After feeling good for some time, call your bishop to execute the king. Congratulations, now you know how to checkmate with a knight and a bishop. In this particular example, we were lucky that the king was already towards our desired checkmating square, but even if the king was on a non-desired corner, we can bring that poor soul to our desired corner. We will talk about that in the next video. Since you have done so much in this video, relax for some time and watch this video as many times as you want until you understand each and everything about this pattern, and after that click on the video that pops up and learn the part 2 of this checkmating pattern and become the absolute endgame god. Until then, thank you for your time and effort. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. Goodbye.